It is Monday, June 29th, 2020. I'm Pastor Thor Ramsey with Center Church, and this is Gospel for Five, where we take 5 minutes out of our day and focus on the gospel and the one who saved our souls. Today we continue to look at how our speech reveals what we really believe about the gospel. The idea is this: our speech reveals what we're really trusting in. So the question today is, what does a critical tongue reveal? And by critical tongue, I mean critical speech, speech that is highly critical of others. Well, first, that we think we're right, because our criticism is generally about something or someone that we think is wrong. But in that criticism, are you trying to display to others how right you are personally, that you know better than others because you are better, you're superior? See, this isn't to say that there's no place for criticism of ideas and even about what other people think, but generally, well, I would say not even generally, we always need to focus on the ideas. It's never about criticizing the individual. It's about the ideas. So there is a place for critical thought and criticism in terms of being constructive and making people think. The issue is, what are you trying to reveal with your criticism? And many times it's that we're trying to show that we're superior. In other words, we're really trying to justify ourselves, which shows we're not really trusting in the gospel of justification. What about defensiveness, or the reluctance to apologize when we're wrong? It shows we're really not trusting Christ with our reputations or with our righteousness. When we need to show that we're right, it's often because we're not trusting in the righteousness God has provided for us in Christ. We have to hold the record of our performance to show others that we're not as bad as they think we are, when in fact we're worse than they think. It is the old, at least it's attributed to Timothy Keller. I think it actually came from C. John Miller, whom Timothy Keller was familiar with. But the quote is this: "You're far worse than you think, but more loved than you could ever imagine." So that is really the crux of the gospel message. The point is that all these ways of speaking show us how far we slip away from the gospel during a single day. So what do you think your heart is looking for when you misuse your tongue? Well, we find our verse today: "The good person out of his good treasure brings forth good, and the evil person out of his evil treasure brings forth evil." Now, that is the question. Why do some people bring forth good treasure? Well, because they have good hearts. Either make the tree good, Jesus said, and its fruit good, or make the tree bad and its fruit bad, for the tree is known by its fruit. When you believe in Christ, you're given a new heart. In other words, you become a good tree. And when you forget you're a good tree, you try to justify yourself. So let's go back to the question: what do you think your heart is looking for when you misuse your tongue? You're looking for justification. You want to be seen as a good person in and of yourself. C. John Miller said this, and this was really the foundational source, his book called Sonship, for this particular series we've been revisiting now in our Gospel for Five segments. But C. John Miller said this: "What drives all these sins is a mindset that rejects Christ's righteousness and seeks to build its own. Jesus' righteousness is not enough, so I will use my tongue to get my worth, my value, life, and righteousness. So again, the realization we need to go back to, which is the words of Jesus, the good person out of his good treasure brings forth good. Once you know Christ, my friend, not because you had any value within yourself, but based upon God's sovereign choice, by grace alone you were saved. He called you, you believed in Christ, he gave you a new heart, and now the good person out of his good treasure brings forth good. You don't have to keep justifying yourself. We know we trip up all the time. It's like, I think the battle, and I find this personally, the enemy is continually accusing you and attacking you, because when you continually browbeat yourself and how much you failed, well, you can't succeed then, can you? No. So you have to stop believing the lies, or just maybe the lies are true, not the lies, but maybe the accusations are true. Just take those to the cross. Take those to the cross, because now, as Martin Lloyd-Jones says, be who you are. We continually forget who we are day in and day out, sons and daughters of the King of the universe, who has given us new hearts. We are now good trees. Either make the tree good and its fruit good, or make the tree bad and its fruit bad, for the tree is known by its fruit. You are now, once you're born again, you're a good tree, and you will bring forth good fruit. Well, what has God said to you today? And what are you going to do about it?